It's crazy, right? Like voting. You think it'd be simple,
You'd think so.
but it's kind of a headache sometimes. You've got all these rules, and then there's so much information flying around, it's hard to know what's real and what's not.
Mm.
It can be exhausting trying to figure it all out. Makes you wonder if there's a better way.
Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're looking at how augmented reality, AR like Pokemon Go?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Everyone was out in the streets.
Yeah, exactly. So we're asking, could that same tech actually help us with something as important as voting?
Interesting.
Yeah. So we've got some really cool research here that explores how AR could totally change the way we learn about voting. It covers the good stuff, the potential problems, and most importantly, how it could impact you.
So we're breaking down how AR could actually make learning about voting more engaging and maybe even fun.
Fun is good. More people might actually want to learn about it then.
Right. So how could this AR stuff actually work for something like voter education?
Well, one idea that really jumped out at us was this concept of a virtual voting booth.
A virtual voting booth.
Yeah. Like picture this. You're at home, right? And you use an AR app on your phone or your tablet, and suddenly you're looking at a step-by-step guide to casting your ballot right there on your kitchen table.
Whoa.
I know, right? And our research even mentions that some states in the U.S. were already trying this out back in 2020. They used AR to help people figure out how to do those mail-in ballots.
So it's like having a hands-on tutorial
Yeah,
right in front of you.
exactly. But it's not just about learning how to vote. It's also about learning about who to vote for.
Oh, right. So instead of just reading about a candidate's views online, AR could let you experience their campaign, almost like you're really there.
Right. Imagine like a 3D model of their rally pops up in your living room. You could walk around, check out their platform, maybe even chat with virtual volunteers.
Wow, that would be amazing.
I know. And it's not just for us either. The research we looked at also talked about AR games for younger voters, like Gen Z or millennials.
Oh, so they could learn about voting history through a game.
Exactly. It could be an AR quiz that pops up wherever they are. Our research actually suggests that this kind of interactive digital learning works way better than just reading a textbook,
Yeah.
especially for younger generations.
Well, yeah, makes sense. It's way more engaging than just passively absorbing information.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet that makes people more likely to actually remember what they learned.
Exactly. And that's kind of the big takeaway here. When it comes to voter education, AR has the potential to make things way more accessible for everyone.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Like, think about it. With AR, you can learn about voting from anywhere, at any time.
Like from your couch.
Exactly. Or even on the bus.
That's huge for people who can't easily get to those in-person voter registration events.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they have a disability or they work long hours. AR could make a real difference for them.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is, it was especially helpful during the pandemic. Remember when everything was shut down?
Oh, yeah. That was a weird time.
It was. And a lot of people felt really disconnected from the whole voting process. But AR could actually bridge that gap.
So it's not just about convenience then. It's also about making sure everyone has an equal opportunity to participate.
Precisely. And there's another aspect here that I think is really crucial: engagement.
Engagement.
Yeah. With AR, it's not just about passively reading or watching something. You're actually part of the process.
Like you're actually doing the voting.
Virtually, I mean.
Exactly. You get to experience the process, make choices. And that makes the whole thing way more impactful. You actually remember what you learned, and you feel more confident about your choices.
It makes voting less intimidating.
Exactly. And the more people understand how voting works, the more they trust the system.
Right. There's less room for suspicion.
Exactly. We actually saw a great example of this in the 2022 Brazilian elections.
Yeah.
There was this AR app, and it actually helped fight misinformation about voting.
Yeah. It gave people clear, interactive explanations of the voting process so they could see for themselves how it worked. And that helped to debunk a lot of the false information that was going around.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
AR can actually help protect democracy.
It can. And another big advantage we found is inclusivity.
Right. So AR can be designed for everyone.
Yeah.
No matter their abilities.
Exactly. Like people with visual impairments can use AR apps with audio guides. And folks with low vision can adjust the text size so they can easily read everything.
That's awesome. Everyone should have the opportunity to learn about voting and participate in the process.
I agree. And when you put all these benefits together, the accessibility, the engagement, the trust, the inclusivity, you get something really powerful.
Yes.
Empowerment. People actually feel like they're a part of the process, like their vote matters. That's huge.
I love that. Okay, so We've talked about a lot of the potential benefits, but like with any technology, there are always potential drawbacks. What are some of the downsides of using AR for voter education?
Well, a big one that came up in our research is the digital divide.
Right. Not everyone has access to smartphones or the internet.
Exactly. And that's a big concern, especially in developing countries. We need to be really careful that AR doesn't end up excluding people who already face barriers to voting.
Yeah, we don't want to create even more inequality.
Exactly. And there's another big risk we need to talk about: misinformation.
Oh, right. AR could be used to spread false information too.
Yeah, it's a scary thought, but it's a real possibility. Because AR can make things look so real, it could be used to trick people into believing something that's not true.
Like what?
Well, imagine an AR app that shows you fake election results, or one that distorts a candidate's positions on important issues.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it would be really hard to tell what's real and what's not, and that could have a huge impact on how people vote.
That's a serious problem. What else did the research say?
Well, cost is a big factor too.
Yeah.
Developing these AR apps
Hmm.
and making sure they're user-friendly, it can be expensive.
Oh, right. So smaller organizations might not be able to afford it.
Exactly. And that could limit the reach of AR voter education initiatives. And then finally, we need to consider user experience.
User experience.
Yeah. Basically, how easy it is to use the app. A lot of younger people are comfortable with technology, but older voters might struggle with a complicated interface.
All right. We need to make sure that AR is accessible to everyone.
Exactly. And that's where good UX design comes in.
UX design. What's that?
It's basically about making sure that the app is easy and enjoyable to use. Things like clear instructions, simple navigation, that kind of stuff.
So UX design can help make AR more user-friendly,
Yeah.
especially for people who aren't tech-savvy.
Exactly. And it can also make it more inclusive. Our research talks about how good UX design can incorporate accessibility features for people with disabilities.
Oh, like audio descriptions or larger text sizes?
Exactly. And it can also help structure the learning process in a way that makes sense to people.
So UX design can make a big difference in how effective AR is for voter education.
Absolutely. And the research we looked at really emphasized the importance of getting user feedback throughout the design process.
Oh, so asking people what they think of the app and how it could be improved.
Exactly. There was this great example from the 2021 Australian elections. They had this AR app for elderly voters, and they actually redesigned the whole thing based on feedback from the users.
And did it work?
Yeah, it did. More older people ended up voting because of it, which shows how important it is to listen to the people who are actually using the app.
That's a great story.
hmm
So we talked a lot about the potential of AR and some of the challenges, but are there any real-world examples of this actually happening?
Yeah, definitely. One example that stood out in our research was from the 2020 U.S. elections. Some areas used AR tools to help people understand how to vote by mail.
Oh, that's cool. So it's not just a theory. People are actually using AR for voter education right now.
Exactly. And it's not just in the U.S. either. Our research showed that there's a growing global trend of governments and organizations experimenting with AR for civic engagement.
So it's a worldwide movement.
It seems to be. And the future of AR voter education looks pretty exciting.
Oh, really?
Uh,
What's coming down the pipeline?
Well, experts predict that by 2030, we could see things like AR election simulations, where you can practice voting in different scenarios.
Wow. So I could test out my choices and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And there's even talk of AR-powered virtual debates, where you can interact with the candidates in a more immersive way.
That would be amazing. Imagine being able to ask a candidate a question directly through AR.
It could definitely change how we experience elections. And our research suggests that the use of AR for voter education is only going to increase in the coming years.
That's incredible. So to sum it all up, AR has the potential to revolutionize how we learn about voting.
Yeah, it can make it more accessible, more engaging, and more inclusive.
But it's important to be aware of the challenges, too.
Right. We need to address the digital divide, guard against misinformation, and make sure that AR is designed with the user in mind.
Exactly. If we can get those things right, AR could really help strengthen democracy around the world.
I agree. By empowering people to be more informed and engaged citizens.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities. So here's something for all of you listening to think about. Can AR really live up to its potential? Can it create a world where everyone has equal access to information and feels empowered to participate in the democratic process? Or will the challenges we've talked about ultimately hold it back? It's a question worth pondering as we move into this new era of technology and civic engagement. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.